as a person. So today's video is going to be this little intro, and then later on there will be some training footage. I don't have too much from clients at the minute due to only being back from lockdown for a week. So it's going to be a little bit of my training today, and then a little chat later about generally whatever people have asked for on Instagram. And the main one at the minute, or the only family friendly response I got on my Instagram, was about training around injury. So that's one thing we're going to talk about. If more things come in that I can talk about, then I will. So I will see you later. Right, so at the end of the day now, so I've trained clients, and there will have been a little bit of training footage of me benching there, and maybe a little bit of curls if I throw that one in as well. So to be honest, the only family friendly request was about training around injury. So the absolute first thing you should do if you are having to train around an injury is get it checked out. If you're training and you've had to alter it, if the injury is that bad that you have to alter your training or adapt or any of that kind of thing, then definitely get it checked out. If you haven't got it checked out, then training is likely, it's very possible for the training to just make it worse. If you don't know that training is going to be okay, then don't risk it. Make sure that you get it checked out. If it's been persistent, if it's, as I said, if it's either been persistent or if it's been painful enough that you've got to change, get it checked out. That's underlines everything else here. If you haven't got it checked out, then don't bother doing any of the other steps that I give you, because it might just be irresponsible of me to suggest anything and irresponsible of you to carry on. So if you've got it checked out, the next bit is to adapt what you're doing. So an easy way is, if you've got a lower body injury, you can quite easily carry on doing upper body stuff. If you have, say, for example, an elbow injury like I have myself at the minute, I've had to adapt squats to be in safety squat bar. I tried doing high bar, but it still hurts. I can't do low bar at all because that a lot of pressure on the elbow. Weirdly, upper body, it's not affected too much. So as you will have seen in that video, the earlier part of this video, my bench is back up to a decent strength, but not quite as heavy as it used to be. So I had to back that off quite a bit at first and then start building it up again. And that's took a long time. So I think at one point I was maybe doing sets of 60 for 8 reps, 4 sets of 8 reps. And now it's got back up to 95. So that took a while. So make sure that you adapt to how you do it. There's been times where I've had a lower back injury and all I could really do was bench. Things like, sorry, the new tripod keeps moving. Things like if you have a lower body injury where you can't do a full squat, but you can do, say, a front squat, which happens with certain hip injuries or even certain knee injuries, because it depends on how the joint's affected. You could do a front squat instead of a back squat, or leg extension or leg press. This is where machines can come in really handy, because if it's a back injury, or if it's something that is set off by you either loading weight or having weight on top of you, then machines will come in really handy. If you don't have that option, then dumbbells, play around a little bit as well, just sort of see what movements set it off, what movements don't, and then go from there. The next step is to obviously just be sensible. If you're doing a lift and it hurts, it's probably not worth doing. I know it's easy to think, oh, it doesn't hurt that much, but it shouldn't hurt at all. If it's hurting at all, then something is wrong. So try to try to be sensible with it. Find lifts that you can do pain-free. The only time you should really be doing a lift that hurts is if you're doing a really important competition, and even then it's if the pain isn't that bad. It has to be manageable. You don't, at the end of the day, this is a hobby. This is something you're doing to get yourself healthier, something to do to get yourself fitter. If you're sacrificing that just to get through a training session for your ego, then it's not worth doing. So be sensible. The next step is basically, when you've had that injury, try to avoid it in the future. You know, that sounds really silly, as you probably weren't looking to get injured initially, but if you know that high bar squats irritate your lower back or your knee or something like that, avoid them or adjust them. So if it's the load on high bar squat, go lighter. Don't do it as intense. Maybe change your stance, maybe change where it's positioned on your back, where it's positioned on your arms, any of that kind of thing. Play around with it until it's different enough to still work but not injure you. Because this is just where technique comes into it. If your technique is wrong or if it's just not right for you, then you need to just find out what does work. Now, the last thing, and this is probably the most crucial in terms of coming back from injuries, is remember that the way pain works is that a lot of it could be in your head. Now, I'm not saying that you're making it up, but when you've had an injury and then you're trying to get back into training, you'll find that just doing the movement pattern that used to hurt or the movement pattern that caused the injury will set off a reaction in your head where you automatically think, oh no, I can't do this, this will hurt. And it might not. It probably will feel like it is, but it might not actually hurt. It might just be in your head. So, for example, if you hurt yourself on a deadlift and then you go to do a deadlift that's really light, but all of a sudden for some reason it's hurting, but then everything else that affects that area doesn't hurt, it's probably just that you're worried. And I know that can sound a bit pedantic and a bit harsh, but that is the way pain works in your head. Your brain sort of has a self-defense mechanism where it's like, oh, this hurt last time, let's avoid that. Which is basically how DOMS works as well. So that's basically it. I mean, if you have an issue where you're trying to come back from an injury and maybe one side is stronger than the other, then you could do some unilateral work, start with the weaker side and do an extra set on that one. So maybe go lighter. So for example, if you're doing leg extension, you're doing 20 kilo on the weaker leg, you'd do 3 sets of 12 with that one. But you might be doing 25 kilo on the stronger leg, so you might just do 2 sets of 12 on that one. So that's an idea of coming back from it. But in terms of training around injury, to sum up, it's get it checked out, adapt how you're training, be sensible, avoid what is causing that injury, whether that be changing technique or changing the exercise entirely. And then keep in mind that it's not going to be easy, and you might either go through a little bit of pain to recover, or you might be convinced that you're going through pain. It might not actually happen. It might just be psychological, psychosomatic. So I hope that helps. I'm going to try and do more videos, more YouTube videos. I'm also going to try and do some different formats, more variety. I've got a few more little bits, like I said at the start, like the new tripod, the new microphone. I'm going to try to do some more tutorial type things as well. Especially now that the gym's open, and it should stay open, hopefully. And also now I've got clients coming back in as well. There might be some more of that kind of thing. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Give it a like, give me a subscribe. Maybe even give it a share if you really liked it. But beyond that, I will speak to you all soon.